to me. It's very strange, guys. I reckon. Weird. Something supernatural, isn't it? Could just a whirlwind, you know, fire. But very strange indeed. Whirligig. Where's it going? Must be on a truck. That's a fireman, I think. Wow, look at that, guys. Pretty weird, look at that. They do have fire whirligigs on the river. That's what they say, like a sandstorm, you know. Is this man-made, you know? I mean the storm too. And the fires too. Wow, he's just walking there. Jeez. Oh wow, look at that. That's, I mean, if it wasn't so deadly, it would be pretty. That guy's just walking there, no problem. Jump. Hop, skip, and jump.
Specifically directed energy and high-powered microwave technology. When do you envision that you can weaponize that type of technology?
Goodness, it is in, for the most part, the kinds of things you're talking about are in varying early stages. Do you want to give anything you'd add?
I don't think I would add much. I think they are in early stages and probably not ready for employment at this point.
In the normal order of things, when you invest in research and development and begin a developmental project, you don't have any intention or expectations that one would use it. On the other hand, the real world intervenes from time to time, and you reach in there and take something out that is still in a developmental stage, and you might use it. So your question's not answerable. It depends on what happens in the future and how well things move along the track, and whether or not someone feels it's appropriate to reach into a development stage and see if something might be useful, as was the case with the unmanned aerial vehicles.
But you sound like you're willing to experiment with it.
Yeah, I think that's the point, and I think, and we have, I think, from the beginning of this conflict, I think General Franks has been very open to looking at new things if there are new things available, and has been willing to put them into the fight even before they've been fully wrung out. And I think that's not referring to these two particular cases of directed energy or high-powered microwave, but sure.
A chart from the San Francisco Chronicle of the wind, and you can see that there was no wind. I was here this day in the Santa Rosa area. We got evacuated twice, and all of a sudden about 10 o'clock the wind started swirling, but before that in my comments was there was no wind. The storm came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden it gusts up to 80 miles an hour, and then within 2-3 hours it was completely back to normal again.
Hey guys, God bless you all. I want to take a moment and talk about the forest fires out in California. Um, just a lot of information has been flooded with me recently on this. I kind of dove into it a little bit, um, and I just want to put together a video, some pictures, and some accounts of what's going on out there. We're going to start with this photo right here. Okay. Um, a forest fire burns at 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And that's according to my search. What we see here is we have this line, this scorch line that goes completely by this car, and it kind of disappears. You can't really see it back in here. We obviously have all this vegetation that's intact. In the background, notice there's all vegetation. There's nothing askew here. But we have this car in the middle of nowhere, okay, that is completely obliterated. Now, aluminum melts at 1200 degrees. So, in accordance with the forest fire, it could melt, or should melt. But that's at the height of the heat that it would have to take to melt that aluminum. Okay, so the 1400 is the high end of a forest fire. But yet we see nothing remnant of a forest fire in this picture. And there's a lot of pictures like this. I'm going to show you another one here. This right here, we have the 1200 degrees that was obviously present, melting the aluminum. But right next to it is a scorched tree. And again, we have other vegetation around here. We have this line, okay, that's cut in a way. None of this green burned except right through here. And yet we have evidence of 1200 degrees Fahrenheit at a minimum melting this aluminum, either rims or whatever it was back here. So these are the things that are just really not making sense. Now, let's take a look at another photo here. Let's look at this one here. This here, we have obliterated homes. Okay, obliterated homes. Again, we got some scorch lines here, right through here. But yet nothing at all is standing. There's no granite that we can see, no granite countertops, porcelain toilets, tubs, everything, steel, metal, is consumed. But yet directly across the street, everything has appeared normal. Everything's appeared normal. How can this be? It just does not pass the logical test. Here we have a tree still standing, but yet everything here is consumed. Now, I'm a cop and I've seen a few fires. I've responded to a few fires. And the normal thing that I see is that there's a fire, and yes, the firemen get there generally pretty quick, put it out, and you can say, well, this has been burning for how many weeks now? I understand all that. But there is nothing, there is no evidence of anything here. Nothing. Now, let's just Google a house fire aftermath real quick. This is house fire aftermath. Again, one house, one fire, firemen get there, put it out. I understand all that. But look at how much is still left intact. I mean, you have something like this, which is, I would say, completely destroyed. Okay, but you still have some shingles. You still have some things there. Excuse me. But everything, not everything burned. You have brick. You can see with your own eyes that this is a typical fire, or these are typical fires. There's just something wrong with this, okay? Let's take a look at something else. This right here is a Ford truck. And I find it very odd. I mean, look at this. This is like a cut that went completely through here, but yet this is untouched. This tire should at least be melted, something. But Everything in here is completely destroyed, including the metal. But this tire's okay? Something just doesn't add up.
2017, I'm Cindy K. Courier. And I got a question for you. Is it possible that a weapon like this could have caused the California fires? Check it out.
ABL has demonstrated all of the key technologies needed to bring a new generation of weaponry to warfighters. High-power weapon systems testing is the next step. All airframe modifications are complete, and the plane has logged over 500 flight hours of operational testing, involving over 100 sorties. The high-energy laser's power and runtime have been demonstrated, and components have been fully refurbished. Laser integration into the aircraft will be followed by activation and high-power lasing tests on the ground and in flight, leading to the shoot-down of a threat ballistic missile in 2009. This requires focusing the lethal beam at extended ranges, precisely on target, on a very short timeline.
Let me just say, when I went to war in 2005 to 2006, they had this technology was prevalent then. Okay, so this is obviously a manned aircraft. I'm sure they have these on drone platforms now, and that's what I'm suggesting. Probably is it was a drone that did this. Probably some Manchurian candidate drone operator. I don't know. I have no idea. But there's a thousand different possibilities. Russians, who knows? Even UFOs were sighted in California before these fires began. So I'm not sure the method. All right, but I definitely can see the outcome is not natural, is not natural at all. But I'll continue this video real quick.
It is here that a speed-of-light directed energy weapon provides unique advantages, countering the missile threat during its vulnerable boost phase and providing track information and cueing to other elements. ABL is a force multiplier for the entire ballistic missile defense system. In 2007, ABL successfully demonstrated one of its most challenging tasks, illuminating, tracking, and propagating an atmospherically compensated beam against a distant target. The system demonstrated that it could illuminate the target with a low-power track illuminator laser, TIL. The return of the TIL beam off the target is then used to achieve a high-precision track and the rapid designation of an aim point for the high-power laser. Once precision track of the target is established, the beacon illuminator laser, or BIL, measures the wavefront distortion caused by the intervening atmosphere. Corrections are applied to the high-power beam optics, which in an actual engagement would result in more than lethal energy deposited on the target. Repeated multiple times with a substitute low-power laser at the same wavelength as the larger chemical laser, each engagement required...
So direct energy weapons, something you want to look at. They're claiming to use it to shoot down missiles. Yeah. Like I said, the technology's definitely advanced since then, since 2005, 2007. Anyway, guys, just food for thought. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Obviously, things are not always what they seem, and I think most of the audience knows that. But God bless you all. Take care and be safe.
I wanted to get into the who is behind it first, so we understand who we're dealing with and who we have to confront and take down from their power base so that this has to end. Look at these pictures. How do trees stand below but homes get torched in the middle? I mean, anybody with eyes to see and ears to hear and a brain to think with will know this is not the new normal. This is
Sonoma County Sheriff Rob Giordano says alerts were sent out, but admits not everyone would have gotten them. A lot of residents are saying they didn't get any sort of warning. What was the notification process?
We have systems that will call landlines for blocks of area, and it will call all of those houses. But now without landlines, if you don't sign your cell phone up, you don't get that service.
Sonoma emergency manager opted out of activating mass cell phone alert for evacuations. Sonoma County never activated a mass cell phone alert that could have warned hundreds of thousands of people, the community, to evacuate their homes during Monday's deadly fire, saving many lives, I might add, as well. Sonoma County officials said they worried it would have caused confusion, but the Bay Area unit learned the emergency personnel in Lake, Marin, and Orange counties all use the emergency wireless system to inform thousands of residents about evacuations in their counties.
Upgraded to the SOCO alert system that was activated in July of 2016.
The short answer for people who wonder, you know, if they're asking, why didn't you use the broader alert, what do you say?
The short answer is that in order 500,000 simultaneous phone calls is not an appropriate way to do effective evacuation alerts and warning.
But the people in Coffey Park, in Mark West Estates, in Fountain Grove, and beyond, many of those people told us they didn't get the alert. Are you saying that's because they weren't signed up for the proper alert?
I can't answer that question. I don't know if individual people got the alert or not.
I'm telling you, they didn't.
And so I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is that if they weren't signed up, they weren't going to get alert on their mobile devices, on their text messages, or for their emails.
But they would have had you activated the other system.
That's true. That's true.
And you decided not to.
I think I've justified my reasons.
That is the craziest.
Ever seen trees burn like this?
Seen.
No one has.
It's hollowed out the tree.
From the inside, not on the outside.
Fire and
how do trees burn from the inside and not on the outside?
Straight up the middle of a tree.
It had to be directed energy weapons, folks. They torched the place with thousands and thousands of degrees, targeted certain areas, certain people, certain homes, certain businesses. Agenda 21, weather war terrorism.
That is nuts.
Houses, you know, completely. This is a vineyard with probably millions of dollars. This is from the Leak Project. I won't play it because I don't like copyright strikes, but that's his video anyway. But he got it from Yahoo. This is millions of dollars of vineyard apparently. But how come that one was spared? Like, wow, that's direct. That's precise stuff. If it was a fire, it would have burnt half into theirs, or you know, stuff like that. Anyway, guys, you can see here a lot of people are questioning what happened with this fire in not only there, Santa Rosa, California, and there's other places now. It's doing the same thing.
September, I think, 1981. So I was one of the original 6 paramedics there, hired there, and cross-trained as a firefighter. And during that time I was in there, I earned my associate degree in fire technology, a bachelor's degree in business management. I have my fire officer certification and was working on my chief officer certification when I retired. So I have about 28 years experience in the fire service.
Wonderful. And you teach firefighters, or you have some teaching?
Yeah, I have about 25 years teaching experience working with the Paramedic Academy, the Firefighter 1 Academy, and the Fire Technology Program. And myself and a friend of mine developed a course that is now standard practice for the state, which is building construction for fire protection, and began to roll that out. So about 25 years teaching experience.
And you were showing us this big book album of awards and certifications. I mean, what are you most proud of as far as awards or achievements, John?
Well, the things that I'm most proud of is new technologies that I brought into the fire service against great adversity, which is external cardiac pacing. That was an immense project, and involved multiple organizations that I worked with, and kind of provided a leadership role and coordination. And we were actually able to impact the state leadership to allow that to be added into expanded scope of practice. So anybody in the state of California that's using external pacing on cardiac patients is a result of my work. And not just my work, others worked on the project as well. I forget what the doctor's name was in San Francisco, was also doing work on the trial study, but our work was instrumental in getting them to add that skill to expanded scope of practice. I'm extremely, extremely proud of that. I also led a task force in Sonoma County to build a quality improvement program, an integrated program within the county, and I'm very, very proud of that work. And finally, probably the third thing is getting advanced life support services, the totality of the destruction on the structures. There was absolutely nothing left of the structures except foundation. Now, I've seen that with other fires, but not where it moves like that. Not where the fire is moving and one side of the street everything's fine, the other side of the street it looks like a nuclear war zone. Never seen anything like that.
What other options could there be besides a high torch directed energy weapon that you could consider as a possibility in your experiences of all the firefighting you've done?
There's none that I could think of. There's none.
So this is the only plausible explanation that's being presented.
It's the only plausible explanation, in my opinion. That's the conclusion that I was brought to.
You said that when, for some reason, I think I didn't get it quite straight. You came out and you looked up on the mountain where the flames were, and they were far away, and you came out to check it, and then all of a sudden you saw everything burst into flames.
Yeah, well, like I was telling you earlier when we talked before this, that I had survived the Oakland firestorm back in 1991, and I watched for 5 hours how that fire worked. Because I was at the top, I was up by Broadway Terrace, up at the top, with a view of everything. In fact, I saw it start. I saw the very beginning, the smoke start at the other side of, it was kind of on the Berkeley side of 24 there. And I remarked to a couple of my friends, I'm like, there's an arsonist up there, because 3 days earlier a fire had started. And once again, it was going again, and it turns out it was some underground roots that had kept burning that the fire department didn't know. That started it again. So I witnessed, directly for hours how those flames started, with embers falling from the sky, burning shingles, starting fires. This, even though the environmental conditions were very similar, hot, dry, windy, about the same time of year, October, November, the fire was radically different, because I watched fires spring up all around me and below me and several miles in front of me, in front of the fire line itself. And there was no falling embers. There was no burning, chunks of wood. I had a pile of almond wood, about 1.5 cords sitting there, and that thing flamed on in a matter of 30 seconds, 45 seconds, with 20-foot high flames. Something like that, if you started even with gasoline, would take maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes to turn into a fire like that. So I watched flames exploding all around me, and I never saw an ember. And I saw these old burned out cedars that were maybe 75 feet tall. The very tops of those were on fire like torches.
All right, so let's blow the skirts over your guys' heads by showing you how this works. This is part of the Agenda 21. All right, so here's the areas of evacuation on Monday. This is where the fires first started. Big one in Santa Rosa, Napa, Sonoma. This is when it first broke out. All right, now check this out. Now here's the evacuation area from Santa Rosa. Now notice the streets: Fountain Grove, Chenate, Montecito. Notice where these were evacuations on the initial thrust. Now I want to bring your attention over to this document here. And this is a document that was sent by a lady named Kathleen. It's the City of Santa Rosa Department of Planning and Economic Development Citywide Summary Pending Development, June 2017. And if you go back and forth between these two, you will notice these streets are the exact same. Here's Chenate, here's Pacific, Mendocino Avenue, here's Highway 12. isn't it interesting that the exact areas that they're evacuating are the exact areas that are zoned for Agenda 21 development? You cannot make this stuff up. This is from Kathleen, who wrote, the maps of the fires and the planned or already approved housing projects are identical, nearly identical. I think that our government and developers who put them in office are the arrogance and think that no one will notice. If anyone does point